Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here after a week. We had a hiatus of a week. Many things happened. We have been around with my kids and my girlfriend. We took a field trip this past weekend, and we visited beautiful North Shore of Minnesota. Beautiful experience. We had a great time. After all, you see my hair is growing like crazy, and I developed these crazy curls. That's insane. So what stories are we covering today? Well, as today's story, I've always been fascinated by this phenomenon of AI that is taking over different fields in our society. And of course, there is all this crazy vibe with the markets, even if I think that it sounds a lot like the dot-com boom bubble that we had a long time ago. So I don't know if the hype is worth all the excitement, but it is something that is life-changing if you think about it. Aside from the internet and the smartphone, AI is the next, like one of the latest disruptors that happened in our lifetime. And when we talk about AI and in the medical field, in healthcare, what are the pros and cons of AI in the medical field? So there was this article here like a week ago or two that was talking about the deployment of artificial intelligence. And there is this gentleman here from Kaiser Permanente. Even if I don't know if this piece was more like a advertisement piece for Kaiser Permanente, that is like this healthcare company. So AI chief Daniel Yang is on the front line of deploying artificial intelligence, as well as testing its bounds. And what he says, we did identify some hallucinations. I don't know if it's weird the way he says hallucinations in this case, but Dr. Daniel Yang, a top executive overseeing artificial intelligence at Kaiser Permanente. What a name too, Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente. I don't know. Kaiser makes me like, every time you try to speak German, it makes me want to like scream and yell around to emphasize. So Kaiser Permanente driving new uses for AI in healthcare. He's also learning what he shouldn't do. So they are like deploying these largest implementations for clinical AI, scribe technology in the country. So what I found so far, they use a lot of clerical work with filling out information and scribing. So scribing in this case is like when to generate the purpose of scribing in the healthcare field is to make a first draft of clinical notes from recording after the patient encounter. So when I go to my family doctor to take a visit, so what they do, they type their own, their diagnosis, their findings, and write everything down on a computer. And I think they're pretty straightforward. Big step from when they didn't have computers. As you know, when doctors used to write in cursive, you barely had the ability to understand what they got. Now instead, hey, we got AI too, so we're gonna put that in the mix. So they ask him a question. They say, what has been the biggest failure with AI? And he says, you got these AI developers that really want to get their hands on data, and they ask what kind of tools they can develop for us, for the healthcare field. And the big issues is that there's an overwhelming majority of these companies that want to get inside the field because they think that it's profitable. And they say that developing algorithms for them, it's the easy part, but it takes a lot of work because they want to add value. And there are a lot of great solutions on paper, but the healthcare system may not have the expertise or the interest to really redesign the workflow to maximize the benefit from the AI tool. Because if you think about it, you need to have experts in the medical field for AI that understand the jargon, that can revise what the AI says. And you need, eventually, you will need more personnel to deal with this new challenge, because you need to have people that are trained to deal with this kind of work. So what are you most afraid of with AI in healthcare? And he says that the enthusiasm around developing tools that is, so I don't think that the enthusiasm around developing tools has been met with the same level of enthusiasm around testing, validating, and demonstrating the safety and effectiveness of these tools. There is a tremendous amount of effort in the development space, and I feel like the infrastructure to support responsible AI is not yet being able to catch up. Yes, so you got overwhelming development, R&D in the field, but it hasn't caught up. And especially because each clinic has their own, first they have their own finances, so it has to be economical for them, because unfortunately they're gonna cut some jobs in that field, so eventually everything is going to be automated, and hopefully not, and you're just going to have a few people that oversee the processes and just make sure that everything goes according to plan. Because he says here, I worry about a too-tired system of AI. The AI hubs are going to be large, well-resourced systems like, again, Kaiser Permanente, that will put the time and energy into testing, evaluating, and responsibly deploying AI technologies to the benefit of our members. And the AI have-nots. There will be health systems like county health systems, federally qualified health centers, rural hospitals that either don't have the infrastructure or know-how to deploy the AI technologies, or they deploy without fully understanding how they work and their limitations. That is true. As always, like in everything, you have the haves and have-nots. So that's going to be one of the biggest challenges, I think. Unless the costs of these systems goes down tremendously, there are not going to be a lot of places that will be able to afford these systems. What should AI never do? Is there a red line? And he says, I wouldn't feel comfortable about AI automating clinical decision making in diagnosis or treatment. That is true. Some time ago, I read some research, and they found that, well, nowadays AI can pass the bar exam. They can pass the SAT, and I'm pretty sure they can pass some medical school testing criteria, even if I don't know if we're already there. But AI is great as a diagnostic tool, because if you have the human and the AI, they can complement each other and correct each other at the same time. And then there's specific problems right now that you're looking to find AI tools to solve. And then I say, definitely see tools that support our clinicians to be more effective and efficient, and to reduce some of the administrative workloads. You see, they talk about administrative workloads. What does that mean? It means jobs from other people too. Because most of the time, these jobs are mostly data entry, answering to phone calls, putting data in, and that's another area that we're exploring and that we've been actively working on, is how do we better manage this dramatic increase in secure messages that patients are sending our providers. I don't know if you guys are familiar about e-health, electronic health, because there is something with the insurance that I'm with, and you also have the ability to contact doctors online, but there is just a certain restricted number of health issues that you can talk to them, because otherwise it's okay, they need to see you if you have any other problems. And that's something that it's already a step forward, because while it saves time, it saves resources, you can just do it online easily. And if we look 5 years into the future, what do you think AI will be doing to healthcare? Well, they say, I think there's a future state in which we really are moving toward much more personalized care, where the entirety are not just a medical record, but our activities, the foods we eat, are really being used and leveraged to inform diagnosis and interventions that are customized to individuals. Yes. So unfortunately, what happens today is that I go to the doctor. I'll tell you something silly. The BMI. okay, body mass index. So it takes consideration your age, your height, and your weight, and it's going to give you a number. And these numbers are ranked, and according to those parameters, they tell you, well, you are overweight. Now, I am a relatively heavier guy for my height, so 5'11", 185, more or less, take or leave. And according to the BMI, I am overweight. Okay, so that means that don't take into account if you have lean muscle mass or fat tissue. And that's something that is concerning, because one time the doctor, they study nutrition, but not as good. I mean, nowadays you have many other resources online that know much more about nutrition than the doctors. And if you see some of these doctors are overweight and obese themselves, so how could they dispense information to the public if they themselves do not practice what they preach? And that's another thing. But I'm really looking forward to the personalized care. If you can use the AI tools, they already do some of that. Of course, everything is personalized according to your situation, your health, because you have that specific health issues nobody else has. But most of the time there are generalizations, because somebody that is generally thought to have diabetes, there is this certain way to cure that person. And that doesn't take into account, in many cases, their lifestyle, their diet, and all that stuff. And I think we need more of that. And then the part that I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of technology approaches to identifying and flagging and removing these inaccuracies. So he says that the AI sometimes sounds hallucinating, which sounds very threatening in any setting, and particularly in medicine. Is that a concern? So there are a lot of technologic approaches into identifying, flagging, and removing these inaccuracies or hallucinations before they ever show up in the first draft of a clinical note. But it's also the reason why we make sure that our clinicians are reviewing any note. So you still got to double check what the AI writes. We did identify some hallucinations in these drafts of the clinical notes. We were finding that they were oftentimes in the plan sections. We were hearing things like, it will write in the note, come back and see me in 2 weeks. So the AI will write, come back and see me in 2 weeks in the notes. But the doctor said, I never said that. It's not an unreasonable thing, but it's not something that we talked about in the visit. So AI is really just a mimicker of the data that is trained on. Yes, the limitation is that the AI is going to fall back to the training that the AI received. It's extracting that somehow deeply from both the direct context as well as the training. Many studies show that AI, and that's the other thing. If you want to talk about the context, because the AI needs to be trained in a particular context, given the particular individual after that particular visit. And that's one thing that is still lacking, because one scenario can yield different kind of interventions and situations. The AI does not know that. It just gives you an automated response. There may be it's the same for different people. And that's why the physicians needs to really double check. And one additional thing that I found is that the AI, and this is really promising, has a potential to detection of cancers. And they're paving the development for new drugs to predict treatments and outcomes and prognosis. So some researchers from Duke University in the United States developed an interpretable AI model that can predict 5-year breast cancer from mammograms. That is insane and fantastic, because I saw the picture of a mammogram that had a little dot, and the AI was going to foresee in advance that little spot could grow in a cancerous tumor. And that's something that is really, talk about prediction, right? That's really great. You can save so many lives. Another study was published in the Journal of Radiology where AI algorithms are performed the standard clinical risk models in terms of predicting the 5-year risk for breast cancers. I already mentioned that. And then can analyze mammograms to detect malignant cells, assess tumors, and predict the risk of invasive breast cancers, and also identify lymph node metastases that are hard to see. Then, of course, any form of other form of lung cancers, identifying patterns in DNA fragments in the blood to help identify people who are more likely to have lung cancer, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, cervical cancer, and that is these are all of these are promising, but you still need the physician and the doctor and the AI model. If they can work together, they can do wonders. I would not completely yield complete control to the AI in this field, but that's something that it's really promising. So there was this movie that I watched long time ago, Alien Covenant, I think it was Covenant. So they had this machine on this ship that you would just go in it, and the machine would just analyze you and detect whatever damages you have, and it would just operate on you. And I really thought that thing was a hell of a fantastic thing. Now, let alone what happened to the girl that gave birth to the alien. But if you want to find out more, you just go and watch that movie. That's a really cringy scene in the movie, but I was so fascinated from it. Or look at another movie, Elysium. If you looked at that, like the rich people on Elysium had these stations that could even keep them young and like completely eradicate illness and sickness from the human world. Of course, just in Elysium. And this comes always the same way between the haves and the have-nots. I think that if any technological advancement will come, it will be costly at the beginning, and then years later, it may get cheaper and it may be useful for other people. So at least that's just the hope for a better future in healthcare, and of course making cheaper, because it is costly, especially here in the United States, that we spend as more than other countries that have other forms of single-payer insurance. But that's another topic for another time. Well, thanks for watching this segment, and I'll see you to the next one. Bye.